Hi there. This is my number 1 exercises video. We're going to just look at 3 different exercises that we can use in the key of C major. 2 of them are very similar, and they're for positional. Our 4s and 3s exercise. And then we're going to have 2 string climb / 2 string drop that has us moving through all 7 fingerings. We're just going to do this in our home base key of C major for now. Let's start with 2 string climb. What we're going to be doing is 2 strings at a time, playing fingering 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up through 7. A hint is you can really stare at the second note you play in each series, because that's where you're going to start with your first finger when you move up the neck to the subsequent fingering. If that didn't make sense, all good, etc. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Pardon me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if you're on an electric, you could continue up to the next fingering 1 if you wanted. Sorry if I'm cutting my head off here, but you can presumably see the fretboard. Great, so that'll be relatively easy. It'll get more interesting when you start working on other 2 string combinations. I'm doing this in rhythm because at some point I spent hours and hours working on it. Just map it out for yourself. Pause as much as you need to. Don't guess. So now I'm still playing in C major, starting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Great, so that'll be pretty straightforward too. It'll get more interesting when you're starting on maybe the 4th and 3rd string, and you see that we're going 2 strings at a time. First we're doing 6 and 5, then 5 and 4, then 4 and 3, etc. One thing I'll point out is that most of the time these are going to be 6-note series, but then when we get the 3rd and 2nd string involved, some of them will just be a 5-note series. For instance, if I was in fingering 1 doing strings 3 and 2, it would look like this. Whereas, and fingering 6 would look like so. And that'll end with at which point you can do the whole thing in reverse. And it still works to stare at the second note you hit. And so on like that. So this is an exercise that is the same in every single key, and accordingly learning it for C, it should be relatively easy to spread out to all the other keys. Maybe make a note that we're about 420 in the counter right now. 3s and 4s, on the other hand, we have to learn for each individual fingering, so this will be an ongoing medium to long-term project for you. So I'm going to start with fingering 1. I'm going to be playing every note in the scale in C major, and I'm going to be playing series of 4 notes. I'm going to start with the first 4 notes, then the next 4 notes, and so on. Again, it works to stare at the second note you play, because that's where you're going to start the next series of notes. Here's an entire fingering 1. Great, so the same amount of time that took, it's going to take to learn all 7 fingerings, and you'll be doing 1 through 7 in their entirety. And then 3's exercise is the same exact thing, same exact orientation. We're just going to play series of 3 notes rather than series of 4 notes. So, excuse me. And so on like that. So again, you might want to pick fingerings 1 and 2 for your next practice session to work on 3's and 4's. And we'll get into some arpeggios and other ideas later. But there you go. This is us getting used to navigating the fretboard in any way other than just going up and down the scales. And, you know, these do start to sound a little bit more musical, like something you could throw into a solo when you're improvising, the 3's and 4's, where you're, you know, new at soloing and really just guessing a lot. Whereas, you know, 2-string climb and then 2-string descent is more mapping out, these are the notes I'm going to be hitting when I play around the fretboard. So yeah, work on this in C major, or if you finish 2-string climb and you want to do it in a different key, go ahead, that's fine. It's the same fingerings everywhere. Great. So I'm going to throw in the opens at the end here, which you may or may not have had in your text. But yeah, so when we start at first position, just like our chords, it's the only place on the fretboard where we have to learn every scale as an independent concept. So the fingering that starts at the 12th fret in every key also starts at 0. So I'm going to just go through these alphabetically, starting with C. All right. So C major is fingering number 7. So instead of, you know, it's there you go. So in first position, playing in C major using first position chords, this really starts to hint at what notes can I hit improvising. Great. So now D major is going to be fingering number 6, which instead of is going to look like great, so there we are. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not even a little bit correct. The D major scale up here would be completely not that whatsoever. It would be, so yeah, if we were playing, just now I played no, that was actually correct. Final answer, number 6. Great, so doing that in reverse, if I played number 6 at this fret, you know, here, starting on D, I'd be playing in this key. So there we go, instead of, you know, 10, 12, 13, 10, 12, 14, we're 0, 2, 4, excuse me, 0, 2, 3, 0, 2, 4. Great. E is going to be fingering 5, the one that literally starts on the root, and this will get a little weird. And there's our first, there's only 2 notes on this string instead of so that has a lot fewer open notes, but it still works, and you could also try a more strong finger approach to that. Cool. So F is number 4 instead of we get So when we learned this in C, it went, 7, 8, 10, 7, 8, 10, 7, 9, 10, etc. And even though we associate F with not first position, this is really a pretty good key to play around in. Great. So again, if we were going to play an E at the 12th fret, or F, excuse me, we'd be playing fingering number 4. That's what we're doing here. Continuing, G is fingering number 3, pretty obviously. So instead of and so on. Great. A is going to be fingering number 2. So 0, 2, 4, 0, 2, 4, 0, 2, 4. Just thinking about the hand movement from where we learned fingering 2, right here, back 1 fret, back 2 frets, back 1 more fret, etc. There we go. So great. And B is a little more straightforward. It's just your C major scale back 1 fret. So there aren't all that many open notes, just the reach notes on strings number 6 and 1. If you're having any trouble navigating this, you could go up to the 12th fret of your instrument and consider playing each key there. And this will only really work after you've done positional play and point. So there you have it. And this, again, greatly hints at what kinds of passing tones and pull-offs and so forth we can use when we're playing open chords / first position chords. These are some of the notes that I could throw in, or for improvising or writing a main riff here in first position, including open strings. Alrighty, there we are. I will see you very soon, and happy picking.